So I'm Juan Griego and I just kind of do stuff. I never quite know how I should title what I do. Should I say I'm an artist? Should I say I'm a designer, or what? All I know is whether I'm doing something in Photoshop, doing some studio art, or practicing to place higher in the next tournament I attend, I'm always trying to improve on what I've done in the past. As far as my process goes, I can't really say I have a single one I always use. For my first time printmaking, for example, I chose to emulate two images I really liked as opposed to my current one that is still in progress, where I drew out the koi fish first, then did a color version, and finally started cutting the block. As for when designing something like art for an arcade stick, I do some composition planning with some things like X's and squares and stick figures. And eventually that'll turn into the stick art after I choose some assets based on whatever character I'm deciding to use that time. Most of the time those assets will be based on either the colors the character wears or their backstory. My digital work leads me to what I've felt is my biggest weakness. I can't really draw things out of my head very well. Still lifes I can do pretty well, but original work I really struggle with, and while I'm working on it, it can really pose a problem if I ever start to try to sell arcade stick art or make arcade sticks in general. Because it's not like I can just go get people to cosplay as the characters that I want to use every time and use them as a basis for drawing or for the Photoshop edit. I don't really know what I'd say is my greatest strength. I guess I'd say composition, but I never really feel comfortable critiquing my own work because I'm not an objective viewer. You know, I'm attached to the image because I'm the one that made it. I spent time working on it. My art style seems to really use contrast and composition the most heavily, I assume because the first real art class I took was black and white film photography, which, while it's still an extremely fun process, is dying pretty quickly right now. There's still a few people keeping it alive. My favorite would be Jerry Yulesman. Everything he does looks like it came out of Photoshop, but it's all done in darkroom, and it's just amazing. Despite that photography background, when I was in the film program, I actually gravitated away from the camera department and ended up doing sound department. I did mostly sound mixing. I did some boom operating, but not all that much. Sound department seemed to really fit me very well since I'm not a very social person, and it was something that I could do pretty well. I had a natural feel for it, I guess I could say. But anyway, after completing the film program, I ended up deciding I didn't want to do film crew as a career. Because while I love sound mixing and enjoyed being on set and such, it was just too much of a time commitment. So I just decided I wanted to have time to actually do things that I really want to excel at rather than just do that, you know? I really want to start placing in major fighting game tournaments, but finding time and partners to practice with is hard. So, anyway, hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much with my ramblings, and hopefully you found it somewhat interesting. Thanks for watching.